So the first topic we'll discuss is God and human language. We call it anthropomorphic language. Anthropos means man, morphos or morphic means the shape of. The language in the shape of man, or human language. When we talk to a little baby or to a toddler, we can't speak English as we are talking it together. You talk babbling, you talk small words, and you use facial expressions. You say, nice, and you smile, and you make him happy. And if he's a few months old, he starts to appreciate the smile and smile with you. He's trying to understand that you're saying something nice. And you get the response from him, so you understand that he can get the message. When he does something bad, when he's a toddler and he's trying to stick his finger in the electric socket in the wall, and you say, bad, don't, please, please don't. Or he wants to keep fiddling with the button on and off of a TV or some machine. You try to say, no, 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 daddy says no, mommy says no, you are not going to do this. He doesn't understand the language itself, but he understands the expression and the feeling and the pitch of your voice and the volume of your voice. So by time you are talking this baby talk to him, he can appreciate that these are good things, do it. These are bad things, don't do them, because they are harmful. This is how God is trying to talk to us. So he uses lots of words that do not relate to his real character, as we will read from the sayings of the fathers and from the Bible. He tries to say, I go angry, I am wrathful, don't stir up my wrath, don't tease me, don't annoy me. You are doing the evil in my eyes and that is not good. I'm going to crush you, I'm going to punish you. He's trying to say here, this is wrong, please don't do it. But if he doesn't speak in our language that we understand as children, we will not be able to understand it. He wants to say that love and good is wonderful. Please carry on more. So he says, I'm very pleased. So these words gives us the feeling of a human being with us, changing in emotions. But God does not change, as we will read. But he has no other language to speak to us except these human bits of language through which we can understand what is there. So let's read and see what is written in the Bible and the Fathers. We read first from St. James's Epistle, chapter 1 and verse 13 onwards. He says here, let no one say when he is tempted, means when we get into trouble or suffer because of our evil doings, I am tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil. Our evil cannot shake God and tempt him, so he would try to react as if he was angry in himself really. Nor does God himself tempt anyone, but each one of us is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed. Then when the desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, brings forth death. Remember this word, we will repeat it many times. It is not God and divine justice that brings forth death, but sin, when it is full grown, brings full death. In fact, this is the key statement in the whole paragraph that we are reading. He's trying to say, if you suffer, and all sufferings are small deaths, so don't say this is brought on me because of God, because God is not shaken by your evil and he doesn't respond to you in a childish manner. If you do wrong and you suffer, it is sin that brings forth death and suffering. And then he continues saying, do not be deceived, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above and comes from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation, no change. Remember this, God has no variation or change, or shadow of turning. Shadow of turning reminds us of the old clock that they had in the sun. It was a rounded disc with a triangular pin on top of it. So they see the shadow of the sun changing as the sun and earth change position, and they can tell there is time passing. So the words, in him there is no shadow of turning, means there is no time. In God there is nothing that changes or varies from emotion to emotion, from state and condition to another state and there is no time. That is very important. So if we use words that God was happy and God is sad and so on, we are actually using human language through which God is talking to us to say, this is good, do it. This is bad, don't do it. He is talking human language, and that is very important to understand. Let's see also what he did say to Job in chapter 35, verses 6 to 8. He says, he's talking to Job. God is talking to Job and says to him, if you sin, what do you accomplish against him, against God? Or if your transgressions are multiplied, what do you do to him, to God? If you are righteous, what do you give him? You can't give anything to God. We are so small, so little to give God. Or what does he receive from your hand? However, your wickedness affects a man such as you, and your righteousness a son of man. In other words, he's trying to say, your good and your evil can increase and can decrease a human being, not God. Can you understand this? So these are two messages from the Bible. Let's read and see what the fathers, in a wonderful, wonderful piece of literature written by St. Isaac the Syrian, and you can find it in different books. One of them is the translation by Sebastian Brook, which I'll show you the cover of it. You can go and look it and read it. He says here, that we should imagine that anger, wrath, jealousy, or such like have anything to do with the divine nature is something utterly abhorrent to us. Listen what he says, utterly abhorrent to us. Nor again can we possibly say that God acts thus out of retribution, even though the scriptures may on the outer surface reveal this. Even to think this of God and to suppose that retribution of evil acts is to be found in him is abominable. Amazing word. By implying that God makes use of such a great and difficult thing out of retribution, we are attributing a weakness to the divine nature. We cannot even believe that such a thing can be found in those human beings who live a virtuous and upright life and whose thoughts are entirely in accord with the divine will. For it would be most odious to think that hate or resentment exist in God, even against demonic beings. Surprising. Or to imagine any such other weakness in the divine nature. Not because the terms wrath, anger, hatred and the rest are used of the Creator, we should not imagine that he actually does anything in anger, hatred or zeal. Many figurative terms are employed in the scriptures of God, terms which are far removed from his nature. So he's telling us, try to understand what is behind the metaphors and these words which are the human language. Let's read and see what St. Anthony the Great said in a very nice chapter in the Philokalia in volume 1, page 352. He says the following. St. Anthony the Great was the father of monks, and he was asked by his disciples, why is it that God can be pleased when I do good and God is unhappy when I do bad? And he said, no, it is not like this at all. When you do good, you come close to God. You enjoy his light and his glory and his love. When you do evil, you detach yourself from God and you jump into the bosom of the devil. You suffer and he tortures you. If you say that it is God who tortures the wicked people, you are unable to understand God. You are like someone who's saying it is the sun who is to be blamed for the darkness of the blind or the sick eye. You understand? So blindness and sickness is in the eye of the sinner, not in God. Let's read a few of the words he said. He says, God neither rejoices nor grows angry. For to rejoice and to be offended are passions, nor is he won by our gifts of those who honor him, or that would mean he is swayed by pleasure. It is not right that divinity feels pleasure or displeasure like human conditions. God never does harm. He remains always the same, giving what is good. But if we become evil through resembling the devil, we are separated from God. Thus to say that God turns away from the wicked is like saying that the sun hides itself from the blind. Can you understand the beauty of this? This is the teaching of the Father. Try to separate human language from God, and that is lesson number 1. Because if we don't do this, we will do like medieval interpreters. They took the wrath of God, the anger of God, the jealousy of God, and they said these are literal things in the character of God. Hence, they started to say God must punish because he's just and he must take revenge, etc., of what we will read later.